the radical acceptance piece is going from, dang, I wish I could be on the field with my teammates. I wish I could be becoming a better athlete just like they are right now. I wish I could be at practice, and accepting that you're not, and that's not going to happen for you right now. And allowing yourself the mental space to open up to get to, okay, well, how do I become a better athlete off the field? Because that's what I want to be doing right now. And the avenue I thought I was going to take to get there isn't open to me anymore. So how do I do that off the field? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fuel Your Comeback podcast. I'm Emily, your sports dietitian. And I'm going to wrap this all back around to nutrition. Of course, that's always the lens I'm looking through this for. But this is more of a mindset talk than anything else, and a way for me to share a concept that has been coming up a lot lately that it feels like a lot of you could use as well. So here we are. This is the radical acceptance episode. There has been a lot going on in my life the past couple months, and it kind of cultivated in a little bit of a silly way last week. And it feels like it's a good way for me to share this concept of radical acceptance with you without being like way too personal on here. So many of you know, if you've been reading the newsletter or just in general, you know that my word for this year is endurance. And I am reframing some of the stories that I tell myself. I, for at least the last decade, have joked like, this is not a runner's body. I'm a type 2 athlete. And that's very true. I can build muscle significantly easier than I can build endurance. And also, like, that story in my head has almost created this self-fulfilling prophecy. And I have decided to tell a new one. And I'm running more this year. And maybe even I'll run a marathon. All that being said, I wrote out my training block and I wanted to test, like, let's see where we're starting at. It's always good to have data and numbers and get a feel for things, right? So I did a VO2 max test. Now I just ran, if you're familiar with VO2 max, this is where we're measuring oxygen consumption, and it basically gives you a marker of endurance capacity. The higher your VO2 max, the better. If you've ever seen any athlete like running on a treadmill with an oxygen mask over their face, or it looks like an oxygen mask, but it's just a mask that's measuring their breaths, then that's probably what they're testing, VO2 max. And, I didn't go get a metabolic cart and put a mask on my face and do the full thing. I just ran what's called a Bruce protocol to see how far I could get. And I've run this before, way back in grad school, whether participating in research or just, in class to see what it's like. So I had a general idea of what stage in this protocol I thought I was going to get to. If you're not familiar with a Bruce protocol, each stage is 3 minutes long, and then at the end you increase your speed to a certain number and increase the incline on the treadmill to a certain number. And it starts out super easy, and then it gets really hard, and the point is to go as long as you can. Like, the point is to push yourself to your max limit and see how far you can get in this test. And long story short, I ran this test, and I had a thought of how far I thought I would get, and I didn't get there. I did horrible. I did really bad, eye-openingly bad on this test for my standard, right? I'm not comparing myself to anybody else, but for my standard and what I expected of myself, I did really bad, and it sucks. It sucks to be here, and it really sucks to know that improving from here, running faster, running longer distances, improving my VO2 max, improving from here is going to be really hard. It's going to be painful. It's going to be painful to train for this. And I need to accept that this isn't just an idea or a concept anymore. I actually need to, like, put my sneakers where my mouth is and do it. And it's going to hurt. And it also kind of sucks to accept that nobody can do it for me. I can only do this for myself, and I'm either going to do it and it's going to suck, or I'm not going to do it, and in a way it's equally going to suck because I'm kind of giving up on myself. And to be fair, I think there was a part of me that just wanted to ignore reality and be like, oh, this, I'm not fully rested, or this was kind of a bad day, or there's no way that this is the reality. There's no way that I did this poorly. And, it's fine. I don't need to have this goal. This was such a silly concept to come up with for the year. And I don't need to do this. I don't need to work on this. And, I just wanted to ignore reality and convince myself, like, I don't care. It's okay if I don't run more. No big deal. But I do care. Like, one, I told a bunch of people that this is something I want to work on. And two, for me and for my health and this whole concept in my head of I get to choose what stories I tell myself, I do care. And not following through on this for myself would stink. And I know that I would be disappointed, right? And I think anyone with an injury can relate, whether it's a point in your recovery where you just got hurt, or you are deciding between surgery or not surgery, or you've had some sort of setback, or you're maybe feeling more out of shape than you would like to, right? Like me right now. That you can relate to, I don't want to accept that this is happening. And I don't want to believe that no one's going to come to save me, right? I don't want to accept that ultimately I am responsible and only I am the one that can do the work. And this is where we come around to the idea of radical acceptance. So there is a book, but I'm pretty sure that the concept existed long before this book. But radical acceptance is an act of allowing yourself to accept that shit happens. Life is painful sometimes, and things don't always go as we plan. But when we are clinging to this thought that we wish it was different, or we regret doing or not doing something, you're actually making yourself suffer more than you need to. But when we can accept our reality, accept our current space that we're in, we can open up space to be able to move forward. I think oddly, to accepting that this is what's going on and accepting that this is you and this is your reality, somewhat, to me, feels freeing and feels like a sense of control, especially when injuries take away so much of our control. So many athletes tell me that after an injury, they feel this immense loss of control around their life, and they turn to food as something that they can control again. And this is a very, very, very slippery slope that doesn't really turn out well for a lot of people. Potentially radical acceptance within your injury is accepting that you might gain a little bit of weight in the initial part of this injury. And that's actually what's best. Your weight might stay the same, but it might go up a little bit. And that's okay. Radical acceptance within your injury might be hearing an ACL recovery typically takes 9 to 12 months to get back on the field from, and accepting that for you, it might be 12 months. And we don't have to push for it to be 9, right? It's a range of time for a reason. And the most important key part to all of this is accepting with compassion for yourself. I'm talking about this VO2 max test that I did. That was, a hard look in the mirror. And I am what I am. I'm not kicking myself for anything I could have done differently in the past. I'm not magically trying to be a different person. I am not kicking myself for the person that I am right now. It's okay. This is where I am right now, and I don't need to beat myself up for it. Once you can acknowledge what has happened, with compassion for yourself, you can shift from this sucks and this shouldn't have happened and this is not how this year was supposed to go to this is where I'm at and I can handle it. I can handle it. This is where I'm at and now I can focus on the next step. Body composition is something that we talk about on this podcast and in my content all the time. And I think most people equate nutrition and body composition one to one. I have worked with many coaches who see me as like the weight loss or weight gain coach, and they don't understand why an athlete would need to come talk to me if they're not trying to lose weight or gain weight. But this this concept, I guess, of radical acceptance is part of why I say you need to focus on your nutrition and your recovery, regardless of fears around body weight, body composition, or even goals around body weight or body composition. This is why. The radical acceptance piece is going from, dang, you know, I wish I could be on the field with my teammates. I wish I could be becoming a better athlete just like they are right now. I wish I could be at practice, and accepting that you're not, and that's not going to happen for you right now. And allowing yourself the mental space to open up to get to, okay, well, how do I become a better athlete off the field? Because that's what I want to be doing right now. And the avenue I thought I was going to take to get there isn't open to me anymore. So how do I do that off the field? I've seen athletes with injuries all the time that they get cleared to play, and in the process of their rehab have learned how to cook, have learned how to meal prep, have learned what feels best on their body before a lift, or what to eat or focus on when they're feeling extra sore. They've learned to truly enjoy food and enjoy taking care of themselves in that way, and appreciate all that their body does for them. And that's an important skill as an athlete. That's an important piece of the puzzle. And I don't know if those athletes would have gotten that if they had been on the field. Radical acceptance does not mean becoming complacent. It means, with compassion, letting go of what should have been and letting the door open for a new path to unfold. Almost like doing yourself the honor of letting a new path unfold. Every single injured athlete, well, maybe we won't operate in extremes, but I feel most injured athletes find a silver lining at some point in their injury, and you can't force it. You can't force yourself to discover what that is before it kind of appears to you. But at some point, for most people, it does appear. If you're listening to this and this resonates, I would love to hear, if you've had it already, what your moment of acceptance was, and potentially what path opened up to you because you let it. Thank you for spending time with me today. And also just remember, like, your new path is going to be just as janky as what your old path was going to be. You're looking through what could have been through rose-colored glasses, right? So regardless, of whatever steps you're taking forward, I need you to be kind to yourself along the way and accept this is the way. This is where we're going. This is where we are. Don't forget to subscribe to the Fuel Your Comeback podcast so that others can find it as well. Make sure that you are with us in our free WhatsApp group, the Injured Athlete Lunch Club. And if you liked this episode, drop a 5-star review. Happy fueling, everybody.